Today we are talking light academia. Because this is an aesthetic that pops up around springtime, I thought it would be a good idea to make a video on it now, specifically budget-friendly ways to make your space feel light academia. I am also filming in what I consider to be a light academia room, which is my living room, so I thought it was the perfect background for this video. Before we talk about the ideas, let's talk about light academia. So you've heard of dark academia, I'm sure. This is just the lighter counterpart to that aesthetic. So instead of those darker themes, you're going to see the exact opposite of that in light academia. Light academia's themes are generally positive. They focus on happy endings, joy, gratitude, friendship, a passion for learning, motivation, and optimism. Some books that you might associate with light academia would be Anne of Green Gables, Emma, Little Women, Bridgerton. You could also look at the TV and movie adaptations of these books as well. So let me read to you where light academia came from specifically. Light academia was created in a Tumblr text post on January 17th, 2019. Wearing light linen sundresses in a foreign country, having picnics and pastries in the afternoon sun while reading poetry and laughing with your friends, the burning passion and excitement when you finally make a breakthrough in your research, falling asleep in your lover's arms, sun-kissed and happy, and everything is beautiful and hopeful and nobody dies. Some light academia colors include creams, browns, rose, green, blues, white, pastels. Of course, there are others you could select, but pretty much I would just aim to keep the color palette as light as possible, not just in your wall color, but also the furniture items that you include in your space as well. Patterns in materials include tweed, corduroy, plaid, leather, houndstooth, gingham print, flannel, linen, knit and crochet, lace, argyle, cashmere, and silk. All right, that was a lot. Let's talk about the budget-friendly ideas. So everything that I mention here, it could be incorporated into any room in your house. I'm not speaking about one room specifically when I mention items, so keep that in mind. The first item is a Greek column. I really like this because it's an ode to dark academia, because in DA, it comes from the secret history and they love and study Greek. It also brings in that light color palette, a bit of history, and it can be used in many different places in your home. You could use it in a corner of a room to display books, add some flowers, or you could also put it next to your bed, next to a couch. You could put one smaller one and one taller one to kind of break it up a bit and add a little something extra. So there are many different things that you could do, many places this could be placed in your home, and I love this item specifically. It's so unique. I mean, how often do you go into someone's home and see a Greek column there? The next idea is to paint your already owned furniture a lighter shade. So you could go with white, creams, beiges, you could go with a pastel, and this just helps your space kind of fit into a new theme. And this is something that's not going to be super costly, and it's going to make a big difference in your space. Not to mention, if you do have a smaller space, if we're working in a room, it's not super large, painting your furniture a lighter color will make it feel much larger. Another thing that you can add to this is you can also Mod Podge floral designs on furniture items. Something that my friend's mom did back in the day that she showed me, and it's stuck with me ever since, is she went and got some napkins that had this cute floral design on it, and she would just Mod Podge the napkins onto furniture. And I thought it was such a good idea. You could add little details onto the top of your furniture, the sides, on each drawer. There's so many different things that you can do to kind of give an old piece of furniture a life again and make it fit in with that aesthetic. To do a project like this, it would only cost you under $20, which is great. The next one is for my friends that have books. So if you have books like this, for instance, you know, this is red, and sometimes if you're going for a lighter color palette, this sticks out like a sore thumb. Something that I did in my light academia room makeover is I simply flipped the books to the side. If it's like this, it sticks out, but as soon as it's flipped this way, it's less distracting and it fits the color palette. Obviously, this isn't ideal if you want to see all your book spines. I understand. I have an option for you still. So my idea would be to get a book sleeve. You can get custom book sleeves on places like Etsy, and you can get them in different designs and colors, which is great because then you could throw a book sleeve on for those books that you like to display, and it could still fit in with a lighter theme going in your room. I will say some of these do run a bit pricey just for one, because they are a handmade product. Another idea though is you could make your own, or you could just hide away your books that have darker spines and display books that have a lighter color. Like, to me, these are my light academia books that I always display. I have some Kafka books that are white as well that I like to put out because it fits really nicely with the light academia aesthetic. Now for a brief interruption from today's sponsor of the video, which is Aura. Aura is a new mindfulness and sleep app used by over 7 million people. It has thousands of meditations, stories, coaching, breath work, and the content that you find on this app is created by hundreds of expert coaches and therapists from all around the world. When you set up the app, you're able to customize it entirely for what you are struggling with and what you would like to see most. Something I seriously struggle with is anxiety, and it's something I've been trying to figure out how to get through. Since I've been using this app, it's been so helpful to sit down and do meditations on anxiety and hear what life coaches have to say and ways that you can get through it with breath work, and just hopping on the app and listening to these every time I feel stressed. If this is something you want to try out and see if it benefits you, luckily Aura is giving away a free trial to the first 500 people that click on the link below in my description box, plus an exclusive 25% off. Thank you so much to Aura for sponsoring today's video, and let's get back to the video. The next idea, and this can cost you a bit more, and that is paneling. It's not going to be too much though. So this is an example of chair rail. This is made with trim, and there are many different options when it comes to paneling, like picture frame paneling, wainscoting. Honestly, I don't know exactly what you call this, because picture frame wainscoting is supposed to be from here down, and I don't know what it's called when it's from here up. So I'm just gonna say paneling for everything to make it easier. Picture frame paneling, some chair rail. These are all really great ways to transform a room and make it feel more elegant. It's just a little something extra that you could do to break up a wall in a room. Also, half of this wall, my trim is actually applied with tape. It can be renter friendly, guys. If you saw my video of how I did the paneling in my old money room makeover, I'll link it here in case you want to see how I did that. It was all renter friendly. It's crazy, it's great. The next idea would be to get an ornate headboard like this. These are so pretty. This is something I've been on the lookout for, and I will say, since I've been looking, I've seen a couple gold ones for free on Facebook Marketplace. Some people give these away, but even if I found it in white, it would still go perfectly with this aesthetic. To me, the ornate one is a statement in a bedroom, and I think it's so unique that I wanted to mention this one above all others. The next idea is by getting some figurines, a Greek bust or little tiny figurines like this. I love this guy, oh my gosh. I got this little guy from the thrift store, and because he's an all white figurine with some floral details, he fits perfectly into that light academia aesthetic. And of course, a Greek bust really sets in those themes from the dark academia aesthetic and a passion for Greek. So anything like this, any sort of white figurine. I've seen white figurines that are also little angels with wings. Thrift what you can find. I will show a bunch of options here on the screen so you can get some ideas of certain things that you can look for to help bring some more white decor items into your space. Another idea would be to get a floral tea set. I always say this, but don't ever get something if you don't actually use it. But why I like floral tea sets or tea sets in general is because you can display them and they look very pretty when you display them, and you can also use them. The next idea is to get some artwork and display it in a gold ornate frame. When looking for artwork, look for florals, look for landscapes, look for portraits. You can look at artists like Claude Monet. You can also look at artists from the Renaissance period, neoclassical, romantic. Another thing you can do is thrift a book and use the photos in the book as artwork. The main goal here is to stray away from any artwork that has moody themes, that is dark in color, and you want to go for something that emits happiness or has a happy vibe to it. And since I was talking about gold ornate frames, you can also look for some gold ornate mirrors as well. Just, you know, a mirror on an accent wall, on top of a dresser, over your bed, over your nightstand. There are many different places that this can go to, and this piece alone is such a great focal point in a space. So whenever I look for these on Facebook Marketplace and other places, I do see that they cost upwards from $50 to $350, maybe even more. If you wanted to go a more budget-friendly route, you can actually make your own. I have done this before. It was in my Dark Academia living room makeover, and all I did was buy an embellishment, and I got a mirror that I thrifted for $8 from Goodwill, and I just spray painted the whole frame gold, glued that embellishment on there, and it was done. Another simple idea is by displaying fresh flowers, or you could do fake flowers. I personally opt for fake, especially because I have a cat that will eat everything. But the plus side about getting real flowers is you can actually dry them out when you're done and display them as well. So again, another 2-in-1, and you can keep them after the fact. My favorite one to display that dries out really beautifully is Baby's Breath, and I think that one works really well in the light academia aesthetic too. The next idea is to get a duvet or, you know, comforter, whatever you have in your home, and to get it in a floral print. You could get a ruched duvet, a ruffle duvet. There are many different options that would fit in with the light academia aesthetic and would really transform your room. The next idea is to replace your curtains. Are you guys happy now? Many people got extremely upset over the way I was pronouncing curtains. Therefore, I have decided to change it because it takes nothing for me to say it differently, and it takes a lot for it to ruin someone's day. So I'm just changing it. But I did want to say I've looked this up, and it can be said both ways. I'm from the South. That is how we say it. I don't know what to say. Anyways, so curtains. The first curtain pattern I wanted to mention is lace, but specifically one that has a floral print in it. It would just give off a beautiful shadow design on your floor and give your space an ethereal feeling. And that also brings me on to the next curtain, which is a sheer curtain, which does the same thing. It diffuses light beautifully throughout a space, especially if you have low light in your home. But if you don't want to do curtains, there's always the option to do a drape. And if you were going to go for that, I would say go for a floral print. Next is lighting. There are many good options when it comes to lighting for light academia, but just to give a few of my favorites that I feel are the most transformative. The first one, candelabra. Of course, have to have a beautiful candelabra. In terms of accent colors, I would try to go for gold. Candlelight really gives off the best lighting in the night time, and you can also get LED candle tapers to turn on by remote that flicker, so that way it's not super dangerous to use and you can get that lighting all the time without having to go out and buy more candles or having to risk your house burning down. Another lighting option would be wall sconces. These can be placed in many different areas in a home and can bring such a unique flair to a space. And the last lighting option I wanted to mention was an oil lamp. There are many different types that you can get. Some even have floral designs, which is a plus. And the last idea on this list, and it is very transformative, and the only reason I'm putting it last is because I say this in every single one of my budget-friendly videos. If you know what I'm gonna say before I say it, and you're right, comment below and let me know. I really want to know. Is by starching a bed sheet onto your wall. go get a vintage floral bed sheet from your local thrift store and buy some liquid starch, and you can starch it on your wall as if it's wallpaper. It's removable, washable, and reusable as a bed sheet when you are done. It is renter friendly, it doesn't ruin your walls, it leaves zero residue, and it is the most inexpensive way to get wallpaper. In my bedroom, I have a vintage floral sheet on my wall. I'm sure you've seen it before if you've been here, and I don't have it starched. I actually have it nailed up with weather strip nails. This is another option, but starching a wall is my ultimate goal. So that is everything on my list. I thought really hard about these and tried to mention things that maybe you haven't heard before. There's only so many ideas I can come up with, especially because so many aesthetics cross over each other and it's kind of hard to do, but I tried. If there are any budget-friendly light academia ideas you would like to share, please comment them below so everyone here can get more ideas for their home. And that is it. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.